Welcome to the second Celtics late night of the postseason. I'm joined by a man who thrives in the darkness. How about them Celtics? Celtics blog, Sam LaFrance. How are you, mate?
I wish I was dead.
Yeah, this is everything that we feared coming into the series. You and me felt aligned. We didn't get a chance to actually talk, but I was on the pregame show before game one, and I remember putting through the line for the game one being 14, and us both hating that. It was 14 and a half again today. I just don't think you can use logic when talking about the Heat and specifically the Celtics.
You can't. Celtics clearly just did not have the same oomph behind them today that they did in game one. They were awesome in game one, and I was so pumped that they came out and punched Miami right in the mouth, right? Like, that was huge for me.
Yes.
I was like, okay, like, kind of come in, make it known that this isn't going to be like last year. You're not playing around. You win games at home now. And what do they do today? They're like, hey, remember all those games we won in the regular season at home? It did not take us long to lose in the playoffs. We're going to take 2 games, and then we will lose. So not the start you wanted. Now you have to go and win in Miami, which fortunately, it's like the Celtics have a very friendly relationship with Miami. When the Heat are up here, they're welcome to stay and, relax and have a place. They don't have to get a hotel. And it's the same when the Celtics go down in South Beach. They're able to win games in the fortress that is Kaseya Center, where the people show up halfway into the game. But man, it sucked because this was still a winnable game despite all of the nonsense.
Yeah, it was there late. It was like, obviously, I mean, the 3-point shooting from the Heat was insane, which I've got the numbers for just how insane. But yeah, it was kind of right there for us, but then the offense also fell apart kind of down the stretch, because at halftime the Celtics were shooting pretty close to 50%, and they were 8 for 20 from 3. Like, that's a totally fine place to be. 40% from 3 on 40 attempts. Like, that's just not a game the Celtics lose ever. Let alone, yeah, even if the 3-point percentage is 33%, usually that's a W. But they started to really struggle down the stretch. I mean, and it kind of feel like KP was at the top of the list when we talk about the offense struggling here. Like, so the Heat, the adjustment coming in tonight was, we talked about it yesterday on the podcast, like, what can they do? It's like, well, I expect them to switch everything and just accept some of the bad matchups. That's when you go to KP. That's when you go to Tatum. But Kristaps Porzingis, 1 for 9, a team low -32. The whole point in bringing in Kristaps Porzingis was to beat switching defenses, to make it so we absolutely punish mismatches. And all season long, that's what we've done. And in game one, he was fantastic in punishing mismatches as well, but couldn't get a clean catch. They just started forcing it to him over and over and over again. Even like the Derek White from the top of the key, I can see this one like trying to fire it deep into the key and just has no chance of coming back out. I mean, KP, that's a disaster class.
Not what you were expecting from the guy you gave up Marcus Smart for. Kind of sucks. I unfortunately did have the thought. I was like, wonder if Marcus is a -32 in a game today. Probably not.
Probably not.
Or if he is, it's for different reasons. But Kristaps, so yes, awful that he could not get a catch in the fourth quarter. He let the ball be poked away. I think they were down 6 or down 8, and it was like one of their last chances to make a little bit of a push. And Miami gets the turnover. Might have even been out of a timeout. And then they put the game to bed. It killed me. Here's what I'll say positively about Kristaps.
Okay.
He was horrendous. Could not buy a basket. However, his horrendousness was not felt to the magnitude that it could have been felt. Meaning, did he miss 8 shots? He did. But I'm not really sure he forced any of those 8 shots. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
The one that sticks in my head is he had like a mismatch against Hero and like missed the flip shot right in front of the rim that he always makes. Besides like turning the ball over, and I didn't think he was great defensively, but on offense in the misses or what people will point to, I didn't feel like that was like, wow, he's really like selling. he didn't show up in the spots that they needed him to show up, but he also did not go out of his little bubble and be like, watch this, which is something we do see occasionally from the stars. And also, to bring it full circle, as much as I hate to admit it, every once in a while, Marcus would be like, watch this in the worst moment.
You know what time it is? It's Marcus Smart time. KP did not try and do Marcus Smart time, but at the same time, he, as the big man, like he kind of needs guys to pass him the ball and to go Marcus Smart time. The only shot that I think he forced, he had like a trailer three, and like he can shoot deep threes, but he had one from like the logo, which I think he airballed. And then he had another catch and shoot on the wing, which was a brick. Which he doesn't even shoot those on the wing. I don't know. He was excellent in game one. I think he got shook by the physicality of the Heat, and because like if you were to tell me they're going to play the exact same way next game, like you can't go away from Porzingis here. Like Horford was.
No, you can't.
I mean, they should have closed with Horford tonight, probably. But it's like, do you go to that decision straight away? Game 2 playoffs? Do you try and work through it, or is it like this is the playoffs? It's not the regular season. It's not time to be like, oh, it'd be nice if we get KP to work through this tonight. No, it's like clearly Horford's been the better player, so we should just go to Horford. Let's go back to switching everything because they went back to KP late, and it just felt like he couldn't get it going. But if they I'm assuming Miami will stick to the game plan. I know for damn sure they're not going to go back to their defensive game plan from game 1.
Hey, let's send all our guys at Tatum, who really doesn't care if he shoots or not, and he'll make the pass. I wish they would have done that tonight. It would have been a really nice bunch of fun to watch. I agree with you. I think Horford should have been on the floor late in the fourth. And I think he partly came out because he had already been on the floor for a while. He's probably a little tuckered out there. But he was really good on defense. He wasn't getting killed by Bam. Bam was still making all the jump shots, no matter who was on him, and I'm sure we'll talk about him. But Horford did his absolute best, and he was really more of what the Celtics needed today. If you're not getting the extra offense from Kristaps, they're kind of similar players, and I thought Horford was on today. He made his threes, so I would have loved to see more of him. And his sturdiness, strength makes him less of a liability where, like you mentioned, like they're not really worried about the switching. There was one play in particular at the end of the game that actually gave me my postseason high in blood pressure or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And Caleb Martin gets a wide open three because Hero and Bam are in a pick and roll. Derek White is the floater that's supposed to guard Martin. He comes over because they don't want Kristaps having to be in the action, it seems. And then they leave the guy that was 4 or 5 from 3 wide open. Like, I don't know. Could have used a stop there with a 6-point deficit and 3 minutes to play. Game was not over. The Celtics had a little bit of momentum, and they just could not get the momentum stop. It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. They were just so terrified to switch with Porzingis for the majority of the game. But yeah, they got it down to 6 with like 6-point game with 6 minutes and 22 seconds to go. That's nothing. That's a 2-possession game with half a quarter to go. Like, the game was absolutely there for the taking. I don't know. Like, do you feel comfortable with Porzingis switching? Like, all I know is that whatever. Like, am I scared to switch Porzingis onto Jaime Jaquez and Caleb Martin and Haywood Highsmith, even Tyler Hero? Like, if the Heat are comfortable switching everything and putting Tyler Hero onto Jason Tatum, Tyler Hero onto Jrue Holiday, Tyler Hero onto whoever, Kristaps Porzingis, if they're comfortable putting anyone onto Tatum and those guys, because that is how you limit the 3-point stuff. Because I've seen some people talking about how the Celtics went back to ISO ball. Yeah, but that, like, if the other team is going to switch everything, then you have to beat your man one-on-one. That's just how it works. And that's the whole point of this team, is that you can't switch everything against this team because they've been dominating in isolation all season long. And Tatum at the top of the list was incredible in isolation all season. And tonight he was awesome as well. But like talking about the defensive side of the ball late, like they did it a bit more in the second half, but how comfortable are you with having KP switch? I feel like it's not a big deal.
I mean, I don't think Kristaps has really ever been a defensive liability this year. He's not going to be as quick as the guards, but I don't think he sucks. I think his discipline's pretty good. Like, he doesn't commit a ton of fouls. He did get into foul trouble pretty quickly today. But like, he's not a complete cone. He's smart enough. He's someone you can trust playing defense on just about everybody. I don't think they should overreact to those things. And I certainly don't think they should have did that later in this game when they left Caleb Martin open for three. Or they just gave up a ton of open threes after Miami told them that they're going to make all the threes. Like, there was a point in this game, I think it all kind of just clicked for everybody. We're like, okay, like, this is going to be the game. Like, what'd they make? 12, 13 in the first half? Like, that would have been like, they're 13 of 21. Okay, maybe adjust this a little bit and make them beat you some other way. And it just never came. And the crazy part about all the open threes they created, Hero had it today. He did. He was much better than he was in game one. He is the only initiator. He is the only one that can create a versatile range of shot. Bam is good. He's good inside, but he's really not giving you much more than like contested fadeaway mids. Same with Jaime Jaquez. Quality player, but like he's going to settle for difficult shots. And they're like the math shots that you should want them to take.
Yep.
Hero is the only one. So if you can contain him, you shouldn't be giving up open threes because you should be able to stick and guard your yard.
I think that was like the main thing. It's like, I don't even hate necessarily playing drop defense. Like, you can play drop defense against anyone really, but the screen navigation was atrocious. Like, we have one of the best screen navigating teams in the league. Jrue was getting caught. Everybody was getting caught in these screens, which is leading to two getting on the ball, which is getting us into rotation. And it's just one of those, so it's like, you get into halftime, it's like, do we switch everything or do we just like come out and do the thing that we know that can work better? The problem is, as you said, they didn't do it better. So it's like they needed to adjust quicker than that. I do want to quickly talk about the Devil Magic because, like, yes, they didn't play defense well enough. I think that's totally fair. But there's like, you didn't play defense well enough, and then what happened tonight, like, still shouldn't necessarily happen every fucking time. So we'll I don't even know what order I've got these.
53% from three? Yeah, probably shouldn't happen, right?
So Miami now has 4 playoff games in the past 2 seasons with 50% shooting from three against Boston. No other team has more than 1 against anyone. That's just, I don't even know how to comprehend that. Bam Adebayo shot 34.4% from the mid-range this season. He's, I think, 16 for 18 or something like that on mid-range jump shots. Like, he was one of the worst jump shooting players in the NBA this year, and he has not missed. Like, after game 1, I was like, yep, give Bam as many turnaround mid-range jumpers as you want, even if he is efficient. That's not going to kill you. I actually still think that's true. Like, Bam was not the reason that they lost today, and that's not the reason they were like destroying us. But the fact that he goes 9 for 13, like, still hurts you. 21 points on 13 shots is still obviously very good, but doesn't kill you. And then, like, that's why I like going back to switching, because more Bam Adebayo fadeaways, I can live with that. And then we've got Caleb Martin in his playoff career. Versus the Celtics, 13.6 points per game, 2.3 3-pointers made per game, 48.6%. Versus everybody else, 6.9 points per game, 0.9 threes, 32.5%. That might be the worst one of them all. And then to top all of that off, we get Jimmy Butler on Instagram today after this game. Yeah. Photoshopped his face on top of Jaylen Brown wearing a Celtics jersey. Don't let us get one. Jaylen Brown on the Celtics being down 3-0 from last season. This is nightmare fuel stuff.
Oh, it is. This is like the equivalent of like, this is why we play, but for people that wear heart monitors during Celtics games. Like, this is why you put on the heart monitor. Good thing about the Jimmy Butler post. Celtics did not win the series last year. So if he's trying to be 2023 Jaylen Brown, then he's not going to be a winner. 2, Devil Magic. How do they get the Devil Magic, you might ask? Well, there is some honor that goes into playing basketball. At an NBA level, you do have to be an honorable team. The Celtics committed a dishonorable action today. They decided to wear the road greens at home. Now, the Celtics came out and they took the series seriously, wore home whites in game 1. Again, started the postseason with a 14-0 run. Went up 17-2. Beat the piss out of the Heat in game 1. Basketball gods said no black magic in this game. Caleb Martin looks worse shooting jump shots because he has no idea how to have a smooth form without a hitch. Today, you turn your back on the basketball gods. All of a sudden, Caleb Martin's jump shot is magically fixed. Like, if you go and you pull tape from game 1 and you pull tape from game 2, he has a different jump shot. It's like he's on 2K and he just switched the motion. There is no hitch. He looks completely comfortable, and he shared the black magic secrets with the rest of his teammates. I don't know what they all did. I saw a post that they went to the club on, what was it, Sunday?
Yeah, they did. I saw a video. They're in there.
They know about a black magic hookup there, but yeah, the black magic came because they turned their back on the basketball gods. Home teams who have worn white this postseason, 7-0. Hey. The 2 home losses, Milwaukee and Boston, both wore actually green at home.
Interesting. I do have to ask you how high. So Sam has been wearing a heart rate monitor for the first 2 games. I think what was the max it got to in game 1? Do you remember?
Game 1, I think we maxed at like 85.
Oh, that's pretty high still, because you're resting from memory when is 50 something?
48. Yeah,
48, which is insane.
Yeah. Right now it's at 50.
Okay, so you have relaxed. You've calmed down. You're in a place a little bit more relaxed now than you were. And what was the max today?
104.
Oh, no.
It was the Caleb Martin play where they just left him wide open. Like, with the game on the line. They're like, yeah, this guy's made all threes. Go ahead. You're open. Shoot it.
I'm guessing, like, if I've seen those Life Alert commercials, we don't get those in Australia. I'm guessing people have certain things attached to the body that if they get above certain numbers, that the ambulance is immediately called. I'm guessing that's a number that's around alerting someone very important to come save your life.
Well, if it's over double the resting, it's probably not great.
Not good.
If I'm going that high on the heart monitor, I'm not convinced that the Celtics have not been responsible for murder or manslaughter. They could have killed somebody. Today, they could have killed somebody.
I would, oh man, I saw some fantastic shots of the Garden in between timeouts because we're streaming the game on playback, so we get and like the amount of people dancing in between timeouts way lower than the amount of people dancing. Yeah, good. And you just so many shots. Like if you were to look like right behind the people that were dancing, the men aged 47 to 74 just sitting there like staring into the abyss. I'm like, I'm not sure how anybody's up and dancing right now. But yeah,
they actually, if you're dancing in a game like this, they should ban you. Like they should never let you go to a game again. I do feel bad for anybody that paid to go to that game because it's not cheap to go to a Celtics game right now. I think it was $150 to even get in the door for game 1 with your back against the rafters wall. I'd imagine today was a little more expensive because they won and there was a little bit of juice. Maybe not because it was a weekday. But, man, that sucks. Like, they are not cheap. They're not cheap.
No.
My girlfriend texted me and she said, it's really mean that they're booing them. And then I said, well, it's really mean that they paid to be there.
Yeah, and they didn't respect. Yeah, I paid good money, and they wore the green jerseys and decided to leave. As soon
as you saw it,
shooters wide open. So, Eric Weiss in the chat here. Bigger takeaway for me was that Boston showed they're still not a championship level focused team. Championship teams don't rely on probability to win. They try to influence every shot to lower probability. Conceding wide open shots because the math's good is loser shit. Do we think that they tried to leave them open? That's what I'm like, was the plan to kind of like let them shoot those threes because they're bad shooters? Or is it because they just like didn't execute the plan properly? Because it felt like in game 1, they contested everything. Like they ran guys off the 3-point line. They contested everything. So I don't think that the plan was necessarily to concede them, but that is what they did.
So I'm actually not convinced that they didn't math open shot guys. Like, if that makes any sense. I know I didn't just speak English, but like there was a game I went to this year. I think it was against the Pelicans. And Jack and I were in the press room and Joe was talking. That was like the day he went on the rant about people expecting them to win every single game. And he was like, I wish we lose more so people would like leave us alone. But he talked about like, I think Herb Jones shot 4 of 5 or something early in the game.
Yeah.
And then he cooled off. And he was like, well, like sometimes you have to live with like the Herb Jones 3. So I wouldn't be shocked if they came out with a game plan of like, okay, like let's see if the threes go in. But then it's on Joe to be like, oh,
Yeah.
they are going in. Maybe let's play defense.
I think they should have played defense at some point. I think if I was going to adjust, I would have encouraged them to play defense at some point in
Good
the
answer.
game. Yeah, to come out in the second half, like the first half's one thing. You come out with the game plan and it's not working. You have to change something in the second half and like, oh man, try not to get too reactionary after one game here. But like, this is kind of a big deal, I think, to lose this game against this team. You give this team life. Like, even if you still think they're going to win the series, I still think they're going to win the series. But now it's like it feels likely that it goes to 6. Maybe, hopefully, we're wrong. But like, how do you feel about Joe after this game? Because obviously they didn't really change the game plan defensively in the second half. We talked about probably should have closed with Horford. Another thing we haven't talked about like specific guys yet, but Tatum coming out at like 6 minutes in the first quarter. Hated that when he was like dominating. He had 12 points in the first 6 minutes, and then he came out when it's like, let's just leave this guy in here and the game's over potentially. So I don't know. A few things I thought from Joe that were not good. I've really liked Joe this year. I've been a fan. I thought he was way better than he was last year, but not great.
It makes me sad because I am a fan of Joe's. Joe's from the same place as me. He's from Rhode Island, so I have to support him no matter what.
Fantastic.
However, I don't think he was great today. And it sucks to say that because I agree with you. Like, I think he's done a great job this season. He's been much better than last year. I think he's been a huge reason why the team has been as good as they've been. They all buy into like what he's selling. He sells mindset. He sells game to game. He sells staying focused no matter what. And today was just, for whatever reason, a day that didn't happen from the top down, including him. Like you mentioned, like there were key mistakes that the two of us can point out. And we are two guys at home, not in coaching staffs. So
not yet.
Maybe leave the hot hand in, maybe leave Horford in when he's cooking. And I don't know. Yeah. Change the game plan on defense. I'm curious to see what kind of adjustments he makes going into game 3. I think that may be more telltale than something that we saw today, because I know how Joe thinks of just being locked in his ways. I think that plays into, one, why Tatum came out of the game when he did, because it's just how the rotation goes. 2, why Horford left the game, because, well, Porzingis is our closer. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And 3, he loves that guy's just not a good shooter. He has to cool off at some point thing. I think that all of the stubbornness played into why he stuck to his guns today.
Yeah, Joe makes adjustments after the game. I'd like to see some in-game adjustments. That definitely felt like something from last year's playoffs where, like, Rob Williams coming into the starting lineup for game 6 of the Philly series, where it should have happened in game 1 maybe, but should have happened much earlier. It has felt like he has been slow to adjust. But yeah, and also like the games 1 and 2, playoff basketball, all a blur. Eric Wise has reminded me that we were laughing at the Celtics leaving open some shooters in game 1. And again, that goes back to adjusting. It's like, okay, well, if they're going to shoot 50% from 3, we know how this story goes. It's probably time to start adjusting. I have Tatum in the postgame here talking about adjustments.
Yeah, I think we got to be more creative. The playoffs are about making adjustments from game to game, and they did that. It's not they're not just going to let us catch the ball. They're not just going to let us throw it to, KP easy. And, they're supposed to try to mess things up or make us think or make it a little bit tougher. So it's our job to react in real time and, as well as make our adjustments going from game to game.
Just a terrible outfit, which usually I think leads to a Tatum W or a Celtics W, which someone pointed out to me on Twitter, so I was hopeful. Not enough to out voodoo the Heat and the home greens, I guess. I don't know. I've seen some people saying that this is like a shot at Joe. I think that's probably going a little too far.
I think they like Joe. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he would take a shot at Joe. It doesn't make sense. Also, Tatum is just not like a take shots at people guy. He's just not. It's not something we've seen from him. he's not somebody that really ever gives the media anything to talk about. He's so soft-spoken and really is thoughtful of what he has to say. I don't think he would come out after a early playoff loss and be like, hey, our coach sucks. Like, I think if he was going to be like, hey, our coach sucks, he would have did it last year when they were down 0-3. I don't think he would have did it just today after they had a tremendous season and all these guys bought into Joe. And actually, it's been like a big Joe like circle jerk over the last week because he went on Pardon My Take and he was excellent.
Yep.
Everyone's like, this guy rocks. So very, very strange place for him to call out Joe if he was. Not to say it wasn't maybe appropriate that, he's like, oh, didn't make adjustments, all the stuff we talked about. But he doesn't need to say that to the press. The press either recognizes that themselves like we did, or they're not really going to make a big story out of it because, they buy into Joe. He's a mindset guy. They're a mindset team. He got them all to buy in as soon as they got here. Porzingis and Jrue come over in the summer, and they're brand new. They fit right in. The Celtics roll everybody, and Joe has something to do with that. I think that's supposed to be some credit to him, despite not being in the Coach of the Year running.
Yeah, not a finalist, why would you get an award for something that's in the past, Sam?
Yeah. Why would you?
As opposed to the other times you get awards. I'm not sure when you're supposed to get the awards, if not for something you've previously done. But that's okay. All the Joe comments are super fun when the Celtics are awesome. And I think that's just how losing feels. It sucks. Losing sucks. And when Joe says some of the stuff, like I tweeted, I was like, I guarantee Joe's going to say something about like he loved that loss. Joe's going to be stoked about this loss. He wasn't quite as ardent, quite as confident, combative in the post-game press conference as he was in the regular season, which I think is a good thing. I think to have a little humility and be like, all right, maybe we need to have a look at what we did there. But yeah, I know. So talk about Tatum, because he is by far the best player in this series. No Jimmy Butler. The next best player might be Jaylen Brown. If you want to make the argument for Bam Adebayo, I can hear it. I think they're in a similar tier. Once you get to fringe All-Star guys, I think it's probably Jaylen in a vacuum, but Bam Adebayo is still excellent. The point is, Tatum's like far and away the best player in this series. And how often do we hear the playoffs are about dudes? It's like, can you be the best? They are about dudes. Yeah. And it felt like he was being the dude from the jump. And like KP wasn't able to beat the switches, but Tatum all night was dominating, attacking the switches. 12 points in the fourth quarter, 20 field goal attempts is just nowhere near enough. The usage for him, nowhere near enough. I think in this series, he ends up playing 41 minutes. So it's like, how many minutes do we really want this guy to play? Because if he plays the extra 6 minutes in the first quarter, then that takes him to 47. I know people know I'm not great at math, but I can do 41 plus 6. It turns out that's probably too many for the second game of the playoffs. But I guess the thing is, like, can you do you just change up the rotations a little bit there? So it's Jaylen's the guy that comes out first, but like he is so far and away the best player in this series. And game one, he was incredible. He missed some shots, but the way that he controlled the game, fantastic. And today, he missed those 2 free throws in the fourth quarter, which were like really brutal. But he still goes 6 for 8 from the line, 28 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, kind of hurt. But I was just screaming, like, give the fucking ball to Tatum. Like, stop with this, like, ball screen, get the ball to KP. Let Tatum make a play. He had an awesome assist once they did finally start crashing after he was having success getting downhill. Just give him the ball, dude. I don't know.
This is hysterical because all year we were like, let's not give Tatum the ball in close games because he sucks, and now it's the playoffs, and he played pretty well throughout this game, and we're like, oh, maybe he should get more touches in the fourth quarter. Typically, I actually think what they did in the fourth quarter should work, but like it's like another read the room thing, another coaching thing where it's like, oh, Kristaps is not going to be an option for you in this game. Like when they were trying to post him up, I was like, this is what you're going to go to? He's 1 for 9.
I know.
I don't know why. Like, there are a billion games this season where it was like, yes, use Kristaps. He's here for a reason. He's a dude. Like, this is a dude off, and they have all the dudes, but you still have to pick the right one. And it was Tatum today. I also thought Jaylen kind of deserves a shout just because he was awesome in this game too. But Tatum had 12 points in the fourth quarter, like you mentioned. Like, I don't know. get him the ball. One thing I wish the Celtics as a team did better, and you can even point at this in the fourth quarter, is maybe when you get a mismatch, because we talked about mismatches, actually attack them in ways that make sense. There's nothing wrong with attacking mismatches, but when you're getting like Tyler Hero on you and then you're taking a fadeaway, don't do that. He's too small. Anytime Jaylen has the ball on Tyler Hero, he should literally go right through his chest.
Yep.
He's literally like not strong enough to hang with him. Same with Tatum. We saw a great example of this when he caught the ball on Duncan Robinson, faked quick to his right, and then got a free dunk. Just like this. That's how you attack mismatches. Not by dribble. All right, I'll fade away baseline. It's okay, guys. No one needs to actually work. That's what they should do.
You're right. I think Jaylen and Jason both attacked mismatches really well today. Like, Jaylen did go through Tyler Hero a few times. Jason as well. Jrue Holiday, we haven't really spoken about him.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was a Marcus Smart is as good as Jrue Holiday guy when the season started. I was like, I think Marcus Smart and Jrue Holiday are way closer than people think. And I had to eat that one throughout the regular season, obviously, because Jrue Holiday shot 60% from the corners. But Marcus Smart, man, he was a playoff riser. And like Jrue Holiday now, he's 4 for 12 tonight on like a lot of good looks. 1 for 4 from 3. Man, I think he had 2 threes go in and out. I actually don't hate any of the threes that he took because I think he's a great shooter. Take some of those threes. He had that awesome strip, and like as we were coming back, he had that strip, and then he took the pull-up 3 that goes in and out. And it's like, fuck, that was like so close to being a moment. The ones that really have been concerning me has been something that's been an issue on and off throughout the season, has been like his ability to finish at the rim, and he just couldn't get it going from 2-point range on Tyler Hero. And it's like, that's where they're kind of trying to hide Tyler Hero. And it's like, and he can finish those, dude. But Marcus was really good in those spots as well.
He was excellent. He was a post-up machine. Absolute dog. I love Marcus. Like, that's my guy. So I can see maybe they are very similar in value. However, the thing about Jrue Holiday is he has done exactly what they've asked him to do, and he's continuing to do that. So when he's not putting up a ton of stats, obviously he had the shots today to actually put up numbers, so it's tough to excuse that. But he is somebody that you don't really need to score. You need to play defense. He did a great job of it in game 1. And today Miami threw all the screens at the Celtics, and you mentioned it. They just could not navigate the screens at all. Everything was open. They created a ton of open threes off of it. I do think Bam got away with 1 billion of them. There was one that was exceptionally bad in the second half where I think he moved on like Derek White, and Duncan Robinson got a wide open 3. It was Hero, because I literally heart monitor threaded it. He got a wide open 3 in the corner. They've got to have Jrue locked in on the defensive end, and I'm not somebody that watches the game and is like, oh yeah, I can tell you how great that guy was on defense, but it's clear that the impact was not the same, because one thing that people have said about Jrue Holiday is he's quarterbacking the defense, and the defense itself was just not good overall. Bad.
Yeah, the quarterback had a Mac Jones day, I guess, at the quarterback position.
Should have at least tried to injure somebody, right?
Yeah, no. Dude. Yeah, look, someone put on a pretty good hit. I forget who it was. There was a pretty hard foul late in the game. I was like, okay, if we're gonna lose, we may as well do a Caleb Martin and try and fuck someone up. But didn't really happen. We've got one of the best takes I've seen here. So overreactions, totally fair. Heat will win in 7. Mazzulla fired, and Brown traded for Embiid. That would be a lot. That'd be a lot. If they lose this series, I mean, look, we got a lot of time left before we get to having to deal with what that looks like. This could easily be a 5-game series still. Would not shock me, but
I would appreciate it if it was.
It would be, I'd love for it to go be. You made a great point here about they literally lost this game trying to get KP going. Like, you just have to know that that's not the thing anymore. Let Tatum go to work and find KP on catch and shoot threes. Like, and he can attack closeouts as well. Man, it's just such a turnaround from like the game from game 1, obviously, where like we're just having a Celtics gasm party. Like KP's hitting like the pump fake, hit the closeout step back three over Jaime Jaquez to this one.
The funny thing about today is like Jack and I did the pregame. We were like, yeah, we think they're going to kill them again. And it didn't feel unreasonable to think that. Like all the things we talked about were like, where's Miami going to get offense from? Well, Tyler Hero created and everybody collapsed and the screens were excellent. So they were open in three and they made all the threes. So that's where the offense came from. And of course, Spoelstra made the defensive adjustments and the Celtics did not adjust offensively. The Kristaps thing is a great example of that. It goes hand in hand with how we're like, maybe guard the shooters now that they're making threes, maybe defer away from the guy that typically is pretty good, but doesn't have it today. Clearly just does not have it. He's off his game. You have to be able to read that situation. And I was pretty bummed that they didn't. And maybe this does really become a Joe series. I'm rooting for him. That's my guy, but I hate that he's going to have to be under the microscope, especially because Adam Silver and the gang gave them a 2-day break in between games.
Yep.
Back to back. Like, this is awful that we have to sit and think about this for 2 more days.
I hate it. I know, sitting
Shame
in
on
it for
the
2
Celtics.
days. Shame on the Celtics, dude. We should have been basking in a 2-0 glory for 2 days, I really enjoyed being up 1-0. It was a really great feeling. Really great feeling being up in a series. Like to the Heat fan in the chat here, I thought y'all were gonna sweep us. I did not think we were going to sweep you. I was not someone you did.
Thought they should. I don't know. Maybe I don't think that they were going to, but I always have like an expectation. I'm like, oh, they probably should. Like Jimmy Butler's not playing. The rest of these guys really aren't that great. Like they only have the one creator and hero. There's no reason why you should be able to drop a game, let alone multiple games to Miami. Like if you were going to drop one, I guess it's historic and they made all the threes today, so sometimes you feel like you can't control that. But even today felt like it should have been a winnable game. They were in it. Like I said, the decision not to guard Martin is going to be burned in my brain. You're down 6 with 3 minutes to play. Like if the Celtics were up 6 with 3 minutes to play, I would be sweating my ass off. I would not believe in them. Are you kidding me? So they can absolutely come from that deficit. It was a winnable game, regardless of the black magic voodoo or whatever. They still didn't play great down the stretch. Don't love that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, something that's not really going to get talked about a lot is the crunch time offense, because they're usually up when the crunch time offense becomes a thing. But it's not going to go down as a crunch time loss, but a 6-point game with 6 minutes to go is very close to the official crunch time 5 minutes with 5 points. Like, I mean, it basically is. So
the stops are it too. They had to get stops in this. They got stops, but like in between when they got the baskets. Like they would get a basket and then give up a basket. And then they would miss, but they would get the stop. Like they could never just actually line up what they were supposed to be doing right to get back into the game. And it was killer to watch.
Oh, the run was absolutely there for the taking, like throughout the game. I know it's crazy now. It doesn't feel like it now, but they were winning at halftime. So it was like you got to halftime, you're like, yeah, this sucks. Here comes the devil magic, but this is the difference between last year's team and this year's team is that you can shoot 55% from 3 and the Celtics are still winning. But then the offense became the problem in the second half. So the opening line for the next game is Celtics -8. Obviously a lot closer than Celtics -14, but that's still a pretty big line for a team at home. So like that's like a +400 money line, I think. So I've already bet that one. I've already emptied the life savings on the Heat to win this series.
On Heat? How much?
Yeah, of course.
What's the line at now for them to win the series? Can you even? Do they have it updated yet?
Yeah, it did. I think it was +900.
It's only +900 to win the series now.
It was +7. What was it before? +1800.
It was +6,000 this morning.
+6,000. I don't know how all the pluses work. Whatever. It was 17-1 before the series started. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what it was after the 1-0.
It was 60-1 after game 1.
60-1. So it's all the way down to 9-1 from what I saw. I should have
threw my bank account on 60-1.
60-1. Yeah. That hurts. So we got 2 days to sit in this thing. Jrue and KP are a combined 14 for 42 across the first 2 games here. The 2 guys you brought in to make all of this stuff not be a thing have been the reason you're kind of in this spot right now.
Sucks. I mean, just a weird Kristaps spot for him to have a bad game today.
This is his game. This is his matchup. Dominated the regular season. Dominated game 1.
Even early in this game, like he was getting the looks. Like the looks were there. He wasn't put in bad positions. He was put in positions to succeed, and he couldn't do it. That's weird. And it's off. Maybe he didn't deal well with the physicality. There weren't a lot of calls either way this game. Like, obviously, like Miami didn't get a ton of calls either is what I'm saying. Like, both ways. They let him play.
Yeah.
That affected him. I mean, these guys love to try and get to the free throw line. Porzingis was great at getting to the line early in the season, and they changed the rules, and they stopped calling all, like, the sweep-through stuff. It sucks. Like, I hate that he wasn't good because he is such a difference maker when he's great.
Yeah, it is worrying because, like, if you're going to you'd be skeptical of the Celtics, like, Kristaps not being good in the playoffs is concerning. I think it's something about the Heat, man. Like, there's one coach in the NBA that matters. Coaching doesn't really matter to a point. Like, there's just a massive glut of coaches that are all pretty similar. And then there's Eric Spoelstra. There's one coach in the NBA that gives you, like, he gives you an extra star. It's like having Jimmy Butler or an extra star out there. Like, that's how good he seems to be. Like, there's just no reason for them to have been able to, even the year that they were the 1 seed, like, the talent still wasn't there. The year that, ironically, the series that the Celtics have won was the year that the Heat were, in theory, the best team. Whereas last year, the Heat of the 8 seed, this year, the Heat of the 8 seed again. And this feels like we're struggling. Like, Spoelstra is just that guy. And I feel like if they can just get out of this series, it's like, and you get into the next round, like, I'm not going to take, I'm not going to be someone, I don't think, that's going to be like, because they're struggling against the Heat, means that they can't win the title. I do think that there's something about Spoelstra and this matchup in particular that other teams don't present the same issues. But that's because I'm a child. I'm like fucking Bane. I'm like molded in the darkness by the devil magic.
Oh, that's a great line, man. I mean, I feel you though. Like this is just clockwork, and I was hoping it wouldn't be. I thought they had the talent to avoid this, and I still think they do. Still don't think it has to be a competitive series if you take care of business. But if you just go out there and you don't adjust and you don't change anything, he's going to win the game. And you saw it today. Like, the defense did enough to make the Celtics uncomfortable. They stopped doubling Tatum. They started to give them the mismatches that they were trying to hunt. And the Celtics had to play a less rewarding style of offense, it felt like. Like, they didn't create the open threes that they usually take. They took the Celtics out of their rhythm by giving them what they want, which is a very strange way to go about it, but it worked. Because then they got too focused on, oh, let me take a fadeaway over Duncan Robinson. Let me take a fader over Tyler Hero. It was not, let's use the mismatch the proper way. It was like, nope, we'll just settle. And they weren't driving. They weren't kicking. They were just settling. And when you get them to do that, you're going to win, Spoelstra.
Yeah. He's a fucking demon witch doctor, man. Like, I can't believe we're here again. I cannot believe that we're here again. I wanted Miami. I was like watching that Philly. I was watching the Philly-Miami game, and I was like, yep. I watched the first 2 Philly games, even though they look kind of hobbled. I was like, yeah, still like Embiid. And then I watched this. I'm like, yeah, give me the Sixers. Give me anyone but these guys. That's probably what concerns me. Like, going forward, it's like, does this series end up going 6 or 7, and they get through? But it's like, how much does that cost you from like a exhaustion perspective?
Maybe you learned something though.
Yeah, maybe. We've been saying that a lot, that's for sure, over the past couple of years. And it felt like they had, like, that's the thing about this team, is that it felt like they had answered all those questions about had they learned something. I thought, at least. Like, when you talk about Joe being a mentality guy,
yeah,
they showed that to me. Also, maybe it's just the one game. Maybe they won't shoot 50% from 3 again. But I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore.
No, if there's any team I think will bounce back, it's this Celtics team. I think, to Joe's credit, he does have them bought into the mindset, like we talked about, game to game. And Joe does make adjustments game to game. He just might not make them in the middle of the game, which he should start doing. But I think these guys will come locked in. Maybe they needed a little punch in the face. Didn't think they were gonna. I thought they were kind of locked in this year. You think the top would have been like, hey, we've disappointed ourselves year after year. It's time to lock in no matter what. We just lost to Miami last season. We can't take them lightly. And they did it in game one, and it was like, okay, they have this figured out. Like, they understand like what it's going to take, how they're going to go out there and take care of business. And then they come out tonight, little flat, let Miami hang around, let them hang around. Miami starts to heat up, and then they lose control of the game. Not fantastic.
Ben Vallis, I'm very impressive turnaround from you from a couple of hours ago. I think we win out from here. That's exactly where Ben was mentally at the end of the playback stream. Definitely in the exact same mental place. I'm glad you've been able to bounce back that quickly. Look, we'll wrap it up here. Look, this could mean nothing. This could mean a lot. One last shout out. Hauser was fucking awesome in this game, by the way. I don't know if maybe we need more Hauser. He hit 2 big threes and played really good defense.
He has been a positive anytime he's been on the floor this series. His 3-point shooting almost invites the other guys to make the right play because he's out there just to catch and shoot. So you have to move the ball to use him properly. And if he's not getting the ball in swings or off of driving kicks, then you're kind of wasting a body, wasting an elite talent. So I almost like the way that he challenges them to play the correct way. I think you do see more of him in the next couple games down in Miami, just because there's going to be an outcry over the next 2 days.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of discussion about the Celtics. One thing about this Celtics team, and I guess if you want to wrap, we can wrap with this.
Yeah, sure.
I wish they would take some of this stuff more personal. Do you really think Jimmy Butler could like post a Photoshop against many other teams and like get away with it? Like, I'm not certain that they're going to come out in game 3 and be like, maybe you shouldn't make fun of us online.
I don't know but here's the thing: the Heat have beaten everyone, and he kind of does this. They only have that weird little rivalry with us, I guess, with Milwaukee as well, right? But like, going back to the bubble, how many years is this now since the bubble? Is this the fourth year? They've had 1 year where they haven't made the conference finals, right? Like,
so they went in 2020. Got swept by Milwaukee in round 1, which was a big redemption spot for the Bucks, who had lost them nice. In the playoffs in the bubble. And then they go in 2022, 2023, and here we are.
And here we are. So, like, they do it to everybody. And that's the thing. Like, do they take it personally? Tatum, I think, is a more competitive asshole than he lets on. I wish they would tell us, though. Like, I wish that they would be like, I guarantee this makes Jaylen mad. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, though. Like, is Jaylen going to come out here and force it and have 4 turnovers in the first half in game 3?
I hope we get March Jaylen. The Jaylen we saw against Denver that just looked like, respectfully, prime LeBron going through people in the paint like he was unstoppable. It was unbelievable, the play we got from Jaylen for 2-3 weeks, and then he got hurt, and then he really hasn't been at that level since. We did see a little bit of it today. A little bit crept in. He had a really hot stretch right before halftime. I loved him. And I loved the mentality he had. Jaylen is like an X factor in this. Got to step up.
Absolutely. And he did. That's what's tough, man. All the best team in the world, like all the guys, the two superstars on the team were fucking great today. It was kind of the other guys that didn't step up. I will say Jrue Holiday, champion, was down 0-2 in the finals. They have the experience. They have taken their licks. They should need to get punched in the face they've been punched in the face so many times. So I'd really appreciate it if they would start bobbing and weaving a little bit.
I agree. Stop getting hit in the fucking face, will you?
Please. Because I feel like I'm getting hit in the face at this point. All right, everybody. Sam, thank you for stopping by. Everybody go watch the How About Them Celtics. They I don't want to keep you up too late. I know it's late in Boston.
So I'm working from home till June. So
so you're cruising. Oh, perfect. Because any weekend late night shows, I might be reaching out to you. All right, boys and girls, we will be back. I'm not exactly sure when. We'll definitely be back for a post game after the next game. We'll probably do another podcast between now and then. I can't believe we have 2 days off to deal with this loss. It's the worst possible thing that could
Saturday,
happen.
you get to see us on playback.
There we go.
We're both doing it. Yeah.
We're back. Playback. I got to get a new hat. The hat is gone. It lasted one
What's
day.
that? Oh, the red hat.
The red hat is gone. It did not protect me from the heat, unfortunately.
I almost pulled out the bag to put over my head, but I didn't do it. I'm gonna. Hopefully, the playoff run goes long enough to where there is potential for more of a loss than this.
Look, we might need to bring the bag out if we lose Game 3. That's gonna. Oh my God! I can't believe that Game 3 is kind of like a must-win. That didn't take long. That didn't take long. Didn't take long. All right, Sam. It's been a pleasure. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. Without the W, being here for an L, that means you're real. Till next time, go Celtics.